Rose and Adam Butler. Welcome to Focus on the Fun Stuff.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
It is really lovely to see you. It feels like, I don't know, we should just be in a bar here having a drink. And probably that's what it will turn into, actually, just the experience of it. I have known you both for a really long time. It must be like 2014 onwards, I think, by Entrepreneur Circle we've both been members of. And the exciting thing, I think, about today's episode, well, one, I've never had a duo.
Right, yes. Here we are. No pressure.
But more exciting than that, I think Focus on the Fun Stuff, as we know, is about lots of business owners don't enjoy the journey. And I think we've just got some really good stories here today about like real life not enjoying the journey.
Yes.
Making a change on that. Exiting your business, going again to exit another business, how you exit a business. So I'm going to do my best here to steer my way through, because you've both got very different stories. And I know there's going to be so much that the listeners can take from it, from both of you. So I guess I normally start my podcast with just a bit of a recap of how you got to this place. So it'd be good to go into both, because you've both got very different journeys up to here. So, Adam, if I start with you. Adam, you had a recruitment business. Easy Online Recruitment?
Yeah, I mean, it was imaginatively named Adam Butler Recruitment at the very beginning. Yeah, it took me ages to think of that. It actually had a few different trading styles over the years. We went through Easy Online Recruitment.
Oh, I made that up then for a second.
Yeah, no, we went through Easy Online. I mean, how that came about in itself is interesting, because that happened in the... I could talk for hours on all these subjects. You'll have to.
I will.
Yeah, you'll have to keep me on track. Yeah, Easy Online Recruitment, and then towards the last few years, we were Hawk Butler Executive Search.
Right.
A name that sounded premium, that I thought would be a good way of getting more premium customers, and actually, it worked.
Did it?
Pretty well. Yeah, it worked pretty well. Maybe not as well as it might have done, given what the story that's about to unfold. But yes, that was my business for 17 years.
Okay, and so if we let's just maybe get into that journey a little bit, and then I'll come to Mark.
Yes.
But you were in there for 17 years. We were in the same entrepreneurial group where you learn to grow and market your business, sales and marketing. I know you got a lot of customers from there as well. Our paths crossed a lot. But I know that from 2020 onwards, was it? You had a real kind of life-changing moment in your business.
Yes, yeah. Well, COVID wasn't particularly kind. I mean, all the learning, actually, we become a student of the entrepreneurial journey, don't we? And I loved all that. And I loved all the people that I met. I mean, I wouldn't be sitting here with you guys, and I wouldn't be working alongside Mark without that. So the network, and I believe there's huge power in the network.
Yeah.
You never... You know, the dividend pays out long term when you build relationships. So that was always really good. And I learned a lot, built a good customer base over the years. But in COVID, and I've been through a few, I started in late 2006. And in 2008, my customer base was wiped out with the credit crunch. They were all finance companies and banks. So they were literally halving in size, reducing their manpower. So I've been through, loads of these little blips. Always difficult, but with resilience, passion and determination, you find your way through. In COVID, I got an opportunity to do some studying, and it was towards a postgrad certificate in sustainable leadership. And it was really interesting, all done over Zoom. There was this section on the course about burnout, what to look out for, signs of burnout in your team or people around you. And I thought, this is going to be really interesting, because I love working with people, getting to know people. I'd like to think I could help someone that was burning out. And anyway, they gave this list of all the things, exhausted, irritable, unfocused. There's like 20 things on this list. And as I was going through it, I was going, oh, yeah. Oh, hold it a second. There's like 20 things on the list, and all of them applied directly to me.
Right.
And I suddenly realised, you know what? I'm racing towards burnout here, And I'd worked so hard to get the business to where it had got to. And some years it had been fantastic. Some years it had been abysmal. Mm-hmm. And I just had this little moment where I thought, maybe I should stop doing what I'm doing and reflect. And that actually led me on a journey towards the easiest way out of this for me is just to wind it all up. It wasn't particularly Exitable. I'd nearly exited on a couple of different occasions by way of investment, which would have been an earn-out,
Right.
but didn't happen. Then that would be a separate podcast all of its own, I'm
Right.
sure. And that led me to take some time out. I took 6 months off, took what cash was available off the table and decided I would just get myself back to being me, work out where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do next. And towards the end of that 6-month period, having played the golf, been on the holiday, done all the jobs around the house, and had some time to reflect, I was sat there one night and Mark dropped me a line. He goes, what's going on with you? And I said, because we've been very good friends for a number of years. He said, what's going on with you? And I said, something weird's happened today, Mark. There's an opportunity that I was going for that I don't think is going to come off. But I'm being really philosophical about it. I think it might be the universe telling me something, and it maybe wasn't the right opportunity for me. And this one replies immediately going, I think the universe is right. Let's have a chat on Monday. And I think by the Wednesday, we were working together.
Oh, wow.
So it all happened. And, I'm a big believer that things happen in a certain way for
they do.
the ultimate reason.
Yeah.
And yeah, that sort of brings us to where we are now.
Yeah. I want to ask you loads of questions about it because that's a really bold move that you made. Just before I will come back to it, let me just loop back into the conversation because your journey to this point is different, isn't it, to Adam's?
Yeah. Yeah. So I ran a telecoms reseller business, which you know very well.
Yes.
For many years.
We were a customer before. Well, we still are until you exited your business. But
I was fortunate enough to exit in just after COVID. 2021 was sort of still in COVID at the time. And telecoms businesses did go up in value because everyone was stuck at home. Everybody needed to communicate, and broadband, telephones, everything, mobiles, everybody needed it more. So the value of telecoms businesses went up at that point. And we'd looked to exit before because I'd already started my business now, but tried to run them side by side. And we tried to exit at one point, but couldn't get the value that we wanted. And then because the businesses had gone up in value, we managed to exit in 2021. So at that point, I was able to really focus on the business that I run now, which is Signal Solutions. And that's where me and Adam now live, basically.
And how long did you have Boosh before you exited it?
So started in 2012 and exited in 2021, so just over 9 years.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking here on one more question first because I want to ask a bit about both change before we get into the business you're in now. So Mark, then with the exit, so did you almost stumble on that? Was it more premeditated? And
no, the first time we looked to exit, we went through like a broker. Paid them quite a lot of money to try and find us someone to buy the business.
I've heard good things about.
And they didn't. They found us a couple of people that were basically trying to take advantage of people that were looking to sell their business. So when we did eventually exit, it happened really quickly because we were found rather than us putting ourselves out to the market.
Interesting.
So the company that wanted to buy us for the right reasons because they were growing their business. They weren't. In my opinion, there's a lot of people going around looking for businesses in distress and trying to take advantage of them.
Yeah,
this was
buy them
done
for £1.
Yeah, exactly. And my big thing was that I wanted to be able to focus on Signal Solutions. It's a niche business, but we can, I've always known that it's a growing market. And I saw a way in the market with a supplier that we still doing very well with. So I wanted to be able to exit completely on day one, basically. Mm-hmm. So we agreed financially and we agreed how it would work from a day-to-day point of view. So basically, essentially signed a 0 hours contract for 2 years.
Right.
Which basically meant I didn't have to do anything, but if they needed me, they'd have to pay me to go and work for them or ask me to. But I didn't have to commit to any time to them. Yeah. And that was probably the biggest thing. Obviously, money's important, but also being able to focus on another business and grow that business was the most important thing to me, really. And that's what sort of led me to be able to get to where I am today.
Understand. And when you say that you were found, because then probably people listening to this going, I'd love to sell my business. And I know like you get the letters from the brokers all the time, don't you? Or them ringing you up saying, do you want to sell? So was there any particular way that you think you got found? Was it like your online presence, your customer base? Do you know like what made them reach out to you? Because that's kind of the dream scenario, isn't it? That they come to you. And
yeah, I mean, we were in the telecoms world. So the telecoms reseller market is very competitive. There's lots of big players out there. So Croft, who bought us, are one of the biggest independent resellers out there. But we'd grown a name for ourselves. We were called Boosh 365, so the name sort of stood out to people.
Where did that come from, Boosh?
From the mighty Boosh.
Did it really?
Yeah.
No way.
And I'll be honest, I've never said this before. I'd never really watched it, but a friend of mine said, come up with something that's like quirky, and he mentioned Boosh, and I was like, oh, Boosh.
All right, we'll do that.
I put 365 on the end because it was like Office 365.
Yeah.
So that's should be a much more like concise way of coming up with your company name. It happened.
Different naming convention to Adam Butler Recruitment, wasn't it?
Yeah. Mark Rose Telecom didn't quite have the ring. But we'd also put a lot of effort into our relationship with suppliers. So we were quite a big Vodafone reseller.
Oh, yeah.
And we'd grown through qualification with them in terms of like the products that we could sell, the support that we could offer our customers. We've become one of their top tier partners. And I think that really was how we were found, because we had a good reputation as a business, not necessarily the size of the business. It was more the reputation. So for the bigger companies, they were probably out there looking for the smaller businesses that they knew they could fit into their model, basically.
Yeah.
So that's I don't think we were sort of actively putting ourselves out there, even on like LinkedIn or anything like that. But it was through LinkedIn that somebody messaged me to say, "Would you be interested?" And it was a person in between the two businesses that was helping them find people to acquire.
And were you prepped internally to sell, like operationally?
We I say no. We'd obviously done quite a bit of work when we were looking to sell ourselves, but a lot of the due diligence and everything we went through was just a massive learning curve.
Was it really?
Yeah. And we were quite fortunate. It only took a few months, whereas I know people, it can take years, 2 years. I heard Christine talking about it the other day, and it's like a long process that I think she said the minimum really you'd be looking at would be a year. And I was like, oh, wow, we did it quite quickly.
Yeah.
But I know we were fortunate in terms of how quickly we could turn around the due diligence as well. And that a lot of that is the systems and stuff that we had in place in the business. John, my business partner, he'd built the CRM that we use.
Oh, really?
So that when we sold it, it's a funny story, we actually sold the business, told them that we had a CRM that they could basically have as part of the sale. We ended up selling them the CRM after we'd sold the business. About a year later, we then sold them the CRM software as well. So
no way.
Yeah, so we sort of
did a double
on it. Yeah,
exit on it.
Quite nice.
Why had you built your own CRM system?
Just because John's a developer by trade. And anything we were paying money for, he'd in his spare time, he'd go, I'll try and just like recreate that. And that's a big part of the business we have today, is a lot of the software side of it sets us out aside from competitors, basically.
Oh, how fantastic.
So yeah, it's a big thing for us, the software side of it. So,
and then just because we'll bring up to you both getting together here. So you exited it, you wanted to exit because you saw this opportunity that you believed to be, I guess, an even bigger opportunity. Yeah, I won't bore you with exactly how exciting the mobile signal boosting world is. But please tell us what Signal Solutions does. So Signal Solutions, we solely install mobile signal boosters into buildings. So it's still sort of telecoms related, and telecoms has always been my background. But in 2018, there was a rule that you couldn't basically repeat mobile signal from outside of a building into a building. The governing body Ofcom got involved and said, actually, for consumers, it's unfair because you should be able to have the signal that you're paying for outside in your building. Right. So they brought out a legislation that said if you use a certain type of equipment, you can do it. We
at the time through Boosh, we were being asked all the time by our mobile customers, can we boost mobile signal into our offices or factories or whatever it might be? And the answer was always no. When we found out there was a solution, I was like, oh, actually, why don't we try and resell this and do it ourselves as well? So that became a business within Boosh. So we had Boosh 365 and then Boosh Signal as two. It was all under the one limited company, but they were two brands, two different websites. Right. And it became difficult to run them. They were two separate businesses. Although they were still telecoms related, one had a very heavy engineering side where we were going in and running cables around buildings and fitting equipment, and the other was more customer service support. So yeah, they were two separate businesses. So actually having the opportunity to solely focus on this new business that was fairly niche and new in the market, I just had this feeling that actually this is the time that I can really quickly grow a business and
amazing
and yeah, sort of take advantage of the
catch the wave.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so, that's exciting.
Yeah, and it has been an exciting journey. Like,
has it?
I've enjoyed all of the business. You know, I started my first business when I was 24, and I'm a little bit older than that now. But I've enjoyed the whole journey. But certainly the last few years have been the most enjoyable, definitely.
And do you think part of that is because it's so specific what you do, like the niche? I don't know if you heard the other week I had Ollie Luke, who I know on
Ollie
and
well.
That episode, like talking to Ollie, really, really. I mean, I already know a niche within a niche is, but the success that he's having on such a, for me, like blow me away niche of audiologists,
millimeter wide, 3 miles deep.
Yeah. And it's, for me, it's, I think it would be very scary for a lot of business owners to make that decision. But also then once you get into it, so like clear who you're speaking to, what you're offering, your solution, isn't it? And it's similar now with Signal Solutions.
Definitely, yeah. It's when I was in the telecoms reseller world, you meet a lot of people like Croft and other bigger resellers where you always felt like you were trying to achieve to be like them, and probably feeling like you're getting knocked down quite a lot. Whereas in this business, I've like sort of joked earlier when we met that we are like industry experts, but we are in this.
You actually are industry experts, yeah.
And we've got a really good relationship with the main manufacturer that we use. So we get leads from them. They'll come to us for, if they've got a big opportunity in the UK, they'll come to us and say, can you work with this client? And we deal with really big corporate clients now for a small. We're still a small business. We're still, early million turnover business, but we are growing quickly. We've grown from sort of zero in 2021 to where we are now.
Yeah.
So it's been a really quick journey, whereas I felt like the telecoms reseller journey was a lot slower and a harder slog.
I think there's a really important lesson in there itself, because it would be very easy to be running a telecoms business. Someone asks you the question, we've got a problem with mobile signal in our building, and that's just noise. That is like, oh, that's not what we do. It's just noise. Instead of listening to your customer and saying, oh, I wonder if there's a solution to that. Going and seeking it out, learning the regulation about it, finding a solution, which in itself is the installation of hardware and lots of cables into a building. So you could then at that point go, no, not what we do. We're a telecoms business.
Yeah.
But actually the entrepreneur goes, there's a problem here. There's a need. I want to help. And before you know it, you've got a solution that you put into a customer who's delighted with it. And you go, oh, there's probably some other people that want this.
Yeah.
Start asking questions, getting the feedback. All of a sudden you've got a new revenue stream.
Yeah.
How many people are having those opportunities thrown at them day in, day out, but not actually hearing
totally
what's coming through. So it's about keeping your mind open and,
And I think just on that, I think the other lesson, Mark, you're giving us so many lessons to start that bit there. I think the other bit is, you're totally right. I think a lot of entrepreneurs would ignore it. Some would also take on with it. And kind of, do you know when you like have these projects that you half start and you're like doing lots of bits now and it gets really complicated and we're selling this and we're selling that and we're selling that and like we've definitely been guilty of it at my PA. We're doing a bit of all this stuff, whereas you actually went, I want to go all in on this because I think this is now the big opportunity.
Yes.
And I want to do it well, put all my focus behind it. Because you could have, in theory, continued the telecoms and the signal.
Yeah, definitely. I still think sometimes, should I have kept both and tried to run? But when you actually, if I go back to that moment, I knew I couldn't do both well. And I really knew that the focus had to be on this new, it was the new shiny thing. So it's a dangerous place to be, because you could easily go, it's the new shiny thing, I'm going to give this up and this is going to fail. But I think sometimes you just have that feeling, that belief in something that, I think you said it earlier, like sometimes that that everything's sort of clicking together for the right reasons, and it just really felt like that.
Yeah.
But I do every now and then have that thought of, I could still have my old business and this business at the same time. But
and we definitely heard the idea that you've got to be able to discern a good idea from a bad idea.
Yes.
That's just life. That's not business. That's everything that you teach your kids, that you listen to your friends about. We're told, aren't we, that beware of new shiny things, because we love brand new shiny things. Yeah, new CRM system's going to be the thing that changes it all for me. New, head of marketing is going to be the thing that changes it all. New shiny things.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a new shiny thing sometimes that comes along that you can give your attention to if you can discern it's worthy of your attention.
Yeah.
It can actually take you in a whole new direction of opportunity. You've got to be careful to make sure you keep your plate spinning at the same time. I always use the plate spinning analogy because it's so important. Running a business, regardless if it's one industry sector or multiple things, we all know what happens if you take your eyes off the plates for too long. Well, they don't do very well on their own, do they?
No.
So, but, running the advice, beware of new shiny things. Don't be distracted by new shiny. You can miss opportunities that way. So it's about discerning between, is that worthy of my attention or not? And I'm sure there were. I know there'd have been lots of things that, Mark, and there's definitely lots of things I saw that I was like, I just can't focus on that at the moment because it's going to take me away from the core. Just beware missing opportunities, because it could be the biggest one that you're staring you in the face.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, on that topic though, because I feel like you've both made decisions, you've made bold moves. As I listen to Brendan Bouchard, like he talks about that all the time, about making bold moves. And I just delving into how you make decisions sometimes that can feel difficult or more challenging, because like you could have just continued on with the telecoms. You could have still have a recruitment business now. I mean, I feel like your decision that you were in your business for 17 years, we were just saying prior to this, I've also been in my business now for 17 years.
Yes.
And our conversation this morning along where you were talking about, all of a sudden you think, how much longer will I do this for? Should I be committing? Is this a good idea to continue? I feel like loads of people listening to this podcast will have those thoughts where if they've been in it for any length of time, especially if, like you said, some years are abysmal, some years are brilliant. And sometimes it can feel like, is this the right thing? Should I be discerning something else that's going on?
Yeah. I always felt that resilience was the number one skill and trait of an entrepreneur. Resilience above all, persistence and resilience. If you've got the resilience to face a problem and overcome it, you're halfway there. If you've got the persistence to carry on going to achieve your goal, you'll get there. So I guess, like, why did I jack it in after 17 years? And it wasn't easy.
It can't have just been the 20 symptoms that were on the
No, it certainly wasn't. And I don't think I was burnt out, but I could see the writing was on the wall.
You weren't at your most flourishing self.
No, and I knew I wanted to.
I think just from an outsider's point of view on your part, I think, and I think it was the same when I exited Boosh, is you do, I don't know, it ties in nicely with the name of your podcast, but sometimes it is just about having fun.
Correct.
And actually, I lost that sort of fun that you get from that drive and determination that you build up and you're working towards something. I think you'd lost that.
I had. You're absolutely right. That's we were saying, we've said a few times, we were saying before that I always really enjoyed working with the business owners, working with the businesses, building those relationships, finding out their problems.
Yeah.
I can think of countless opportunities where I offered advice on a subject I wasn't really being paid to deliver on, like recruitment was the thing I got paid for. But I'd often talk to people about lots of other things, and that'd be where the real value lay. One of the things that I worked really hard on in my business and wrote about in my book was about building culture. So one of the things I came out with, because I didn't just want, integrity or teamwork. I mean, they're all great values to have. I wanted something slightly different. And I came up with this: be brave, have fun. Now, I know it's coincidentally been used or has been used by other people that we might know since it genuinely was a coincidence. But, it was that phrase, because that's actually core to me. It's about, you've got to be brave, and if it's not fun, it's not worth doing. I think in that bit of reflection that I had when I was thinking, I am probably burning myself out here, I was like, oh, here we go, Adam. You've already got the answers. Be brave, have fun. What's the brave decision here? Could you just walk away from it? First person I always go to when I'm thinking these things is my wife.
Yeah.
So I said to Danielle, I've had this really strange thought. I might just jack it all in. And she said, oh, right, fine, yeah. Like it was the simplest thing in the world.
Yeah.
She didn't say, what are we going to do for money? What about the 17 years that we invested in it? Her only thought was, will it make you happy? I.e., will you be able to start having more fun with what you do for a living from here? And I was like, there's the answer.
Yeah, and it's really interesting that, because I'm not putting words in your mouth, but did it feel much bigger in your head to make that decision?
It did. Making big decisions is difficult. And sometimes you always build up, unless you're a different personality type to me. There's various different personalities. In my mind, making the decision is quite a big thing. Doing it is usually a lot easier than you think, because you've thought it through enough. Like having to let someone go is never nice. Mm-hmm. And the first time you do it, you really, really build it up. To be honest, the last time I did it, I really, really built it up.
Oh, yeah, you still feel sick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just like that, though, when you do let someone go, you always feel better afterwards.
Yeah.
So you've come to this conclusion, you've taken positive action. It's like they eat the frog. Do it first. Get it out of the way. When I pulled the trigger on, right, I've decided this is the best way out for me, my family, gives us some time to reflect and plenty of time to go again. When I finally sort of said to all the key people, right, we're doing it, I felt the weight lift from my shoulders immediately. I felt like a new person, and I knew it was the right thing. I mean, there was always this idea of, oh God, what have I done? What's next? And
you actually had no idea what was next.
I had no idea. Oh, well, I mean, that's untrue.
Obviously, I know you didn't know Mark.
I had lots of ideas, probably too many. And I got some really good advice from a very close friend, actually, who said, what you need to do is take some time off. And I said, yeah, I'm definitely going to take a month off. And he laughed, and he was like, a month? How long have you been doing this for? 17 years. He goes, you're going to need 3 to 6 months minimum. And it's amazing. 3 months went like that. 6 months had gone in a heartbeat, really. And I needed that time. So I had lots of ideas. Really what I wanted to do was do something that was more fun with people that I enjoyed doing it with. And I wanted something completely different. And it was was it the universe conspiring to help? I'm not really that woo-woo, so I don't know. I don't think it was. But was it the right opportunity that came along with the right people at the right time? Because what I was really keen to do today as well was say, I know there's 2 of us on the sofa. There's actually a 3rd person missing. And JB, John, Mark's original co-founder, is such a key part of it, because we're all very similar but very different.
So different that he doesn't like being on camera. Hence he's not sat here today.
Yeah. But so when I knew the people that were involved, it became an absolute no-brainer. What I wanted to be doing was something really creative, very different, but an opportunity to put the stamp of, let's build a business together that's great fun with people of, like-minded people with different skill sets. That is, and this is the key word, exitable. Doesn't mean that a business is only exitable when someone offers you the money that you're looking for.
Yes.
And that never happened in my own business. I got a few spurious offers of this, that, and the other. It was nowhere near the money I would have ever been looking for. But to build a business that is exitable, and that's the journey that we're on now. We're we've put our plan on the table, we revise it, we look at it regularly, but we're putting the things in place to make this business great for building the growth that we want, the profitability, the revenue that we want, but to a point where it could be exitable at a point in the future. Because if we're building it in that way, we're building it in the right way.
Yeah.
And even like me bringing Adam into the business, like I genuinely, when I knew Adam was available, however you look at that, I thought I'll float this by him and see if he's up for coming over. I actually didn't think, I thought he'd go, no, I've got something else I'm going to do. But for me, bringing Adam in has completely changed the business in terms of it's allowed me to be a founder rather than being involved in everything day to day.
Yeah.
And one of Adam's biggest skills, and we've both experienced it over the years, is that he's great with people, and that works really well. I'm not the best people manager. I expect too much, and I'm hard on the business all the time. I try to be nice to everyone, and then when I suddenly go, actually, this isn't right, I'm annoyed with you. Everyone's like, well, what's going on? Like, so I don't manage people very well.
Yeah.
I'm either nice and friendly or you're getting fired, basically.
Yeah.
Whereas Adam, you know, if anybody has a problem in the business now, I'm like, speak to Adam, because he knows how to deal with it. And me and John will speak to Adam when we've got something we want to talk about. And we can sort of all bounce ideas off each other. And I think for me, bringing somebody into the business in Adam's role wasn't ever on, I would have always thought I don't need someone like that in the business. But what I've realised, to scale to exit, we're going to have more people in the business that can run it, basically, and look after the business for us.
So just to clarify, when you were thinking of Adam as, oh, maybe Adam's the person we need, what was that? Like an integrator just to make things happen? Because I know, like, predominantly is it sales, Adam, that you do?
It was sales at the beginning. That was just because Mark got this big pipeline of opportunity, so that just needed organising, following up on, closing, and some automation putting into it so that it wasn't dependent on just one person looking at it all the time. It's morphed now into more, full business. Or, I never thought I'd be talking about engineering projects and installation plans and schedules. I'm looking at those on a very regular basis with people now. But that's about integrating, as you say, really. But definitely would have Mark as the visionary. Mark's the guy that come up with the idea, set the wheels in motion. John's more technical. John sees the world in a different way than I do.
Is John just sat in a dark office?
He's like classically, he's got his headphones on, you have to go and you have to like tap on his desk and to try and get it. But it's because he goes into a very deep work. He goes into his deep work. He crunches out so much incredible stuff. It's unbelievable, but different skill set. So really, I am definitely integrating between those two and everyone else, including the clients. I'm not sure that's what you were looking for in the first place, but that's what you've got.
It's a good question, actually, because, you don't necessarily know what you need all the time. Like, no. I knew when Adam was available, he'd massively help out on the sales side of things. I knew that was definitely a big part of the skill set. And sales was always my background as well. So what I needed to free up was more of my time to be a vision, I can't actually say the word, of the business. And that's definitely happened now, is that I can focus on growing.
The next opportunities,
But also keep you on track as well, because the next new shiny thing will come along. I was diagnosed with ADHD as an adult, and it is a classic thing that the shiny things attract you. So part of it is like risk taking as well, so it helps, but you do need to be kept on track with your goal. And we've set a goal by the end of 2028 that we want to be a £5 million business.
Amazing.
And to get there, we've got a very specific goal, and it's called 100 over 50. And it's basically, we need to, in that year, have done 100 £50,000 installations in that 1 year, which is 2 a week.
Love the clarity of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we call it 100 over 50. It's just so clear.
It's got its own logo. We talk about it. It actually frames so many of the conversations we have. Sometimes we'll, as effectively a board, be chatting. We'll be asking each other's questions about things that have come along, and we can frame all those questions around, is this going to get us, I'm so scared of the cliches because so many people will have heard the same stuff that I'm about to say. Will it make the boat go faster? You were saying it for me. There you go. But it's like, I don't say, will it make the boat go faster? I say, will this get us to 100 over 50 quicker? And it frames those conversations. And I would definitely encourage people to get a number or a meaningful, simple North Star as a okay, what are we aiming towards? Because there's lots that can go under that. That's your mission at the end of the day. That's like, where are we going? How are we going to get there? There's rules about how we want to get there. We want to improve the connectivity of our customers and do it in a way that delights them. There's lots of stuff around that. We're working hard on building the culture and the values in the business that we have, not just for ourselves and the directly employed team, but anyone that we offshore or outsource work to has to meet with those requirements. So there's a lot going on underneath that headline of 100 over 50, but 100 over 50 helps us to frame everything that we do and every decision that we make. And so Mark's come up with that. We've all, of course, bought into it because we love it.
I have to.
Yeah, but maybe you wouldn't have come up with that if you'd had all this other stuff on your plate at the same time.
100%.
Yeah.
Like the murky thinking of, can I just say something as well? People are going to think she started this podcast just to get advice. But what you've just said is really spooky because we had we've effectively implemented traction this year. So we had our first quarterly meeting. And our goal for 2028, 5 million, can you believe?
Wow.
Exactly the same.
Wow.
Right? So on this whiteboard, the thing that's like, I'm like completely blown away by here. What you've just given me, like the most amazing piece of advice, because on our whiteboard, we were like, 5 million would be good. We'd do like a million PA, a million call, a million follow up, and then 2 million across coaching, online courses. But have we got the clarity that you've just said? No, definitely not.
That single thing that you can easily... I like the fact that it's 100 over 50. I would encourage people to make it as simple as possible because it can frame everything around it. You still need all the other stuff. You still need you need to be thinking about operational efficiency. You still need to be recruiting and engaging with people on the right level. Of course you do. We know all this stuff. But what's the simple thing that you can say, will this get us closer to that? Because if it won't, there's loads of times we've spoken about stuff that we've both got really excited about, and then we've gone, will it get us? No.
Yeah.
And we are discerning because we don't want to miss opportunities, but we've left stuff, haven't we? Yeah.
And it's also, it hasn't just come about because that's a number. Well, we had the goal of what we wanted to achieve, but the £50,000 is our dream, not a dream customer, like the
average good value.
Yeah, good value. So we over the years, John's really always pushed me to aim higher for what the size of customer. So if we got a £50,000 deal in 2021, we would have thought we'd made it, and that was that's amazing. Whereas now that is the average, not the biggest that we're going to get.
Well, exactly, and I think the other thing with that is coming back to the 100 over 50 and the average order value. So you get your average order value, you go, what, right, market message media, which customers do we want? We want customers that have got 50 grand to spend on a piece of kit. That's the average. So we need customers that have probably wouldn't be deterred by £100,000 capital expenditure. Right, let's get a list of those customers. Get a list of those customers, start a marketing campaign to them. Less than 12 months later, we've got a pipeline of £850,000 worth of quotes that have gone out to those customers. We know we convert at least 1 in 5 of our customers. Actually, if we track it over a longer period, it's more like 2 in 5. So as long as we can keep improving the conversions, we've just ticked another £500,000 off. Yeah. As long as we keep and that's all framed by 100 over 50. What kind of customer? What do we know about marketing? What's the simplest thing we can do? Build a list. What's the simplest thing we can do? The list, talk to it. And then, all framed by that simplicity. So,
and I think also from a staff point of view, if you said, right, we want to achieve 5 million, not everyone's bought into that. But if you're saying we need 100 installations done,
suddenly it's very tangible for everyone to visualise what is happening.
It gets your engineering team involved. Like it becomes like a business target rather than just a financial target.
Well, and we've even done our organisational chart. We've tweaked our organisational chart to go, actually, we're going to need this, that and the other, these skills, that flexibility here and there. And we started working on what's the organisational chart look like at the point where we're at or beyond our goal. Because you can start going, right, okay, how many of these are we going to need? So we should really be, again, one of the things I always used to talk about in terms of recruitment, one of the rules is always be looking. We're full at the moment. We've got more people than we need. I don't need anyone. Well, that's like ridiculous.
Yes.
Always be looking in the coffee shop, out at dinner, at the car showroom. Doesn't matter. You find good quality skill with the right personality. They need to go in the CRM for keep in touch. Let them know if you ever want anything, come and talk to me.
Yeah.
So as we see engineers, as we see good quality salespeople, marketeers, software support for John, we engage with them, we keep in touch with them, got our own pipeline of talent, all again framed by this one simple idea.
Yeah. There is honestly, I feel like I want to cut this short and go back to my laptop now and get some stuff done here, because that was absolutely brilliant. I love the clarity on that. And also just on that recruitment pipeline, we're big advocates of that in my PA. We always have a pipeline of people that are ready to go or we're keeping in touch with, aware of, especially in my industry, it's a bit more higher volume of turnover of staff. But people that are ready to, we want to be on the bus, we're part of it. It's real, because a lot of people I feel like just go from a standing start all the time.
Well, and the worst time to recruit is when you need to recruit.
Yeah.
That's like, it's just, we know it. It's all the stuff that we know.
We've all learned the hard way on that.
Yeah. Knee-jerk recruitment is the worst type. One of my favourite books is 7 Habits, Stephen Covey. And there's a bit in the back of the book that is the copy I've got. And he says, he's asked the question, if he had his time over again, what would he do more of? He's not around anymore, is he, no. Stephen Covey, sadly. But he answers that question with, I would do more strategic, proactive recruiting. Because when recruitment is done in the pressure and stress of the moment, you make mistakes.
Bad decisions,
So if you strategically plan your recruitment, and I've shamelessly cribbed this idea into my own writing, but what is writing? If it's not the ideas.
Literally what everybody does, right, as we know, around. Swipes and deploys everybody else's ideas.
Strategic, proactive recruitment is not about, Bob's left, we need a new Bob. It's actually about what would happen if Bob left.
Yeah.
12 months before Bob's even thinking about leaving.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah.
Especially for your key people.
Sure.
If you've got the classic Swiss Army knife person, you need to say, that's a single point of failure. What happens if, right, I need my plan ready. I need my job description ready. Is it the right job description? What would the market need to be rewarded with for that? So you can think about the compensation and everything.
We've learnt the hard way ourselves, even though we sort of planned as well as we can. And we've just gone through it. We had one guy in the business that we thought was really competent at the job and was competent at the job, but just didn't fit our sort of values really as a business. So we're now currently going through the same sort of thing that we've done time and time again, which is making sure we really focus on what our values are to get the right people in, because it's quite easy to forget that when you're recruiting people, I think.
Yeah.
Because you think, they can do the job. So
Totally.
I'll bring them in because they're great at doing the job. But as soon as they aren't delivering on how you want to be seen as a business, it can have a big knock-on effect. So
especially in a technical role.
Yeah.
Technical role, it's like, they're very hard to find. They're in low supply. So it's like we need someone that can fit signal boosting equipment into a building really quickly. There's only really like AV technicians or cabling people, maybe some IT people that can do it. They all need paying a premium and they're very hard to find. So you have to go to agency. But if you've planned in advance for that and you've got your little black book of contacts, you're a step ahead of the game. Getting ahead of the game means that you can ask the questions around, tell me about yourself. what's important to you? Not like, can you tell me how to splice the end of this cable? I mean, you can ask them to show you how to splice the end of a cable. And actually, it's a really important thing that we do ask, because we have had people that haven't been able to do it, and when they're on day one of the job and it's a really important part of it, you're in trouble. Because at your interview, they go, oh, yeah, I can do that. But so now we test on these things, I might even be getting the terminology wrong. You can tell I haven't spliced many cables.
I was smiling.
But
he always says splice.
Crimp. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So, but you can ask them the questions around, tell me about yourself, what's important to you? What do you do outside of work? Have you got a family? Because from that you can learn so much about people's values. If they haven't got a family and they like to go out and party all weekend, doesn't make them a bad person. Doesn't mean that we don't want to employ them, but you can drill into that. You've got a big friendship group. Yeah, I've known these people since school, and that's when it's done outside of the pressure of the moment.
Yeah.
And that's where you can make the best decisions.
Totally right. You don't do that, do you? When it's just like, can you crimp the end of the cable?
Yes,
you're
crimp.
in.
I'm glad you got
that right. Yeah, you totally forget that part of it, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah, not so long ago, we made a decision about taking on a girl who was a super, super qualified PA, EA. And I'll admit, there was definitely an element of, we need this person. Well, on day 2, her kind of shouting across the office to somebody else, she was gone. And so very much like, that is also a lesson in itself, in that if somebody does not fit, the quicker you do that, the better. Like, it was day 2 for us. But yeah, when you're not quite in that mindset of, I just want to find the right person for the role, you can make bad decisions, can't you?
Yeah, and I don't want to turn it into a recruitment podcast. I mean, that'd be ironic, wouldn't it, if I got out of the industry? But I always say that the recruitment process ends the day the person leaves your business. Because that's when you've learned as much as you can about them.
How interesting.
And you're learning until the range, which is why really exit interviews are important.
Yes.
Because the people tend to be a little bit looser with what they'll say at that point, and that's where the truth lies about the person.
Yeah.
So you can find out, okay, what do we need to either...
And I've learned that they always need to be carried out not by the person that was managing them, like somebody completely detached in the business.
Yes, exactly. There's so much...
And also probably not by the business owner as well.
Definitely not. No,
take it quite personally.
Yeah. Which you do anyway when you be like, what?
So anyway, we're letting you go, but just before you go, could you just run through these questions with me? No, that's probably not the way to do it, but yes, that's when you learn everything you can about someone, really. At the end, sometimes sadly you learn even more about them once they have actually left as well, but at least you know that you made the right decision.
Definitely. And how big is your team at Signal?
In terms of employed, so this is a good point. So part of our growth strategy, we've realised we need to be able to outsource as well. So we need to be able to scale up and scale down at different times of the year. Like, we have busy periods and quieter periods. So internally, we've got, in the office, there's 6 of us, and then we've got a team of 3 engineers that, I say engineers, I've been told off, we're calling them technicians now, because part of the job we can outsource, part of it needs to be a skill that we have and we keep to ourselves in a way, because we want to be able to have multiple projects on the go at once, but we don't want to have loads of engineers, basically. So we try and outsource as much of it as we can, and then we have our own guys that understand the product, how to set it up, how to commission it, how to provision, commission, and make sure the installation's gone well. But actually running cables, fitting stuff to walls, that is a different skill to actually understanding how mobile signal works.
Got you.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we're trying to scale the business now in a very different way to how we were probably 3 years ago. And that's probably all come around, like Adam touched on it, when we've redone the organisational chart.
Because of the
100 over 50.
100
Yeah, I mean, we, as a great example, engage yourself and your team to help us. I mean, we could have someone in the office answering the phones and doing other stuff, but that's not then their core job, is it?
No.
You and your a team who are based, a couple of miles away from here, down the road.
Yeah.
So, they do a fabulous job for us of answering the phones, and they ring us up, they send us a daily report of what we've had. No need for us to have someone answering the phones. We've done the same, actually, with, from one of my old contacts. we thought, right, we need someone really to help us out building a database. We all know you could buy a database. I've never found one you can buy as good as one you can build yourself. It just takes longer. So it's like, right, I know someone we can offshore this to. Not just like Fiverr, Philippines, whatever. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
No.
But this is trusted, known, worked with for a long time source.
And this is talking about building an email list that you are
Building a
marketing.
database. So it has got emails on it, definitely. And that's where we make our first point of contact. And in fact, how we go about doing that in itself is we're a bit secretive about. But what we found was, what I've always found is, let's use HubSpot, yeah, or I don't know, even older school, Constant Contact, yeah. Any email sent from a CRM, no matter how good the CRM is easily detectable, not personal, and blocked. You can white panel it as much as you like and put plain text on it. I'll know immediately it's come from a CRM.
Yeah.
Maybe that's unusual because I spent so much time looking at them. You'd know.
Yeah.
Oh, and our customers, I believe, would know as well.
Yeah.
So instead, we do something a bit different.
Interesting.
But we've outsourced that. And we've actually got 3 people now working remotely full-time for us as members of our team. You know, and that works brilliantly. So I very much encourage and keep it as lean as we possibly can from a headcount point of view. And when we do put new headcount on, it's key people.
And this is a really interesting point, because you said about how many people are in the business. Our actual employed list of people in the business, or our employed organisational chart, is a lot smaller than what we actually show people as our organisational chart. So you guys are on our organisational chart because you answer the phones for us. So all of our calls go through to you guys. We don't actually answer the phones at all in the office. And then, we've got 3 guys that none of us have ever met that are on our organisational chart. So it looks a lot bigger, but it is actually true. That is our business. And, you know, we even we've got a really good relationship with our accountant. So she's on there. You know, it's not just the people that you have sat in your office, basically.
They're all part of the mission moving forward.
I think that's key to growing a business. Well, it definitely is key to growing a business. It's something I've learned, probably we've all learned the hard way, is that actually working towards a business that you don't have to constantly be recruiting people to come and sit in your business all the time. Actually try and find people that you don't need to employ.
Well, headcount, like turnover, becomes a bit of a vanity project sometimes, doesn't it? You know, I own a business. Oh, do you? How many people do you employ?
Yeah.
You know, 2. Okay, and then you think the person receiving that information is unimpressed, yeah?
So true.
So it's like, you know, I own a business. How many people do you employ? 2. What's your turnover? 45 million.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I mean, it's not 45 million, but you get the point.
Yeah.
And that turnover actually in itself, what does it turn over? Who cares? It turns over 45 million quid. Makes tuppence halfpenny.
Yeah, what's your net profit?
That's the one. And actually doing it this way is more fun.
Yeah.
You know, because we've got great relationship with anyone that we outsource work to. They're still in the same process of being the right people, and we monitor and measure them in exactly the same way. Sometimes we have to pay them a little bit more, but when we don't pay them a little bit more, we're not paying them at all because they're not working. So, you know, we've got the same relationships. They're experts that we're outsourcing it or offshoring it to in some instances. And it definitely makes the day-to-day a bit lighter.
Oh, I can imagine, because the team part of it can be either the best thing, or at times it can just be the most hardest, horriblest thing, can't it?
Yeah, definitely.
We were talking about this before, that it's easier to manage, but you do still really have to make sure you're managing it, because a lot of people, I think, I will outsource it, and then everything will just
forget about it.
Yeah, the money will roll in, and it's really easy. The key is managing your outsourced relationships.
Oh, I love that. Yeah,
it is
really
KPIs, weekly reports, monthly focused meetings. Sharing with them our goals and vision, so they also know what to be looking out for. Sharing our goals and vision with absolutely everyone, because if we're after 100 over 50, they're going to get more work if they help us find more at 100 over 50. You know, there's no one in a business that shouldn't be a salesperson, in my view. You know, don't necessarily need them to close everything, but they can find opportunities and leads just as well as anyone else. So
And also, like, even in our business, we got different levels of an engineer. You can have what we call a cable puller, someone who can just come in and pull a cable from one side of an office to another, do it neatly, hopefully. But then you've got other people that know how to drill through walls that, you know, I wouldn't have the confidence to do. And you can outsource a lot of that quite easily. There's agencies, you can get people that would just turn up at the drop of a hat into your office, into a site that you're working on. But you've got to then vet the people that you're using, the agencies that you're using, the people that you're working with, whether you have individual contractors that you have like a little black book of people you can call upon in, you know, you might have a job in Scotland, so you've got like 2 or 3 engineers in Scotland that you can call on. Like managing those relationships and making sure, like Adam said, let them know what your vision is, let them know what your values are. It's hard to do it like with every single person. But what we've found is actually, let's find businesses that have got a similar value to us, like rather than just a massive agency that have got thousands of engineers, let's find a cable contracting company that have got like 10 engineers. They're, you know, we've worked with the same people over and over again, so we get to know them. That's a much better relationship than just some random guy turning up on site.
And we ask for, you know, can you share examples of your work? As some people are like, well, we just do cabling, so what do you want to see? We go, it'd be just good to see some stuff that you've done.
Some splicing.
And it's I love that you've got the lingo down so perfectly. You know, what's the quality of your splicing? They say, do you mean crimping? And I go, oh yeah, that's it. Yeah. But it is important. You know, it's like the inner workings of, you know, if you're buying technology, it's that Steve Jobs thing, isn't it? It's like, some people say it doesn't matter what happens inside the cabinet. I disagree, because what's going on behind the scenes is just as important as what's going on to the eyes of the outside world. Our work, it's crazy. I'm so proud of it when I see it, because the hardware is immaculate. The cabling is like artistry. Mm-hmm. You see some other jobs I've seen on photographs, the insides of some server cabinets, and there's just bloody cables everywhere. It's like a spaghetti farm.
Yeah.
Anything we've installed is immaculate. So the reason we want to know, can you show us some examples of your work? If they care about how it looks and feels, we know they're going to deliver that for our customers. And that's what we want, because we want to grow as much as by new business. We want to grow by recommendation. And it's a small growing industry, actually a multi-billion pound industry already, I'm sure. But we want to be the go-to person for the go-to people. We want to be the first people thought of when there's a mobile signal issue inside a building anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, so all that stuff becomes really important.
I love that. And I think just on that lesson you just shared about outsourcing, for want of a better word, it's still an investment of time. It's still a relationship, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's at my PA with our PA support clients, we'll have quarterly strategy meetings to understand what's the focus for the next 3 months, what are the goals, what's going on, because too many people think outsourcing is just right, I'm going to get this off my plate. They're just going to sort it out, whatever it might be, whether it's virtual PA support or cable pulling or whatever the thing is. It's not though, is it? Like, actually,
well, you might get to that point eventually if you're really lucky, where you can just let them run with it. Yeah. But you know what? If you just let them run with it, eventually you take your eyes off it. And then what doesn't get focused on doesn't get done, unless the person doing it is heavily invested in the outcome beyond just easy money coming in every month.
Yes.
So you always have to just like you would with your management team, you check in. Give us your numbers, give us your dashboard, give us your KPIs. How's it going? Is that good? What could we do to improve? Cool. Let's go again. Set a new target for you. Let's go.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And yes, you're right. At some point, it can run more without you, but there is that investment of time, especially up front, isn't there? You can't just kind of hope that it goes as you try and...
You wouldn't not have a check-in with one of your key people 3 years down the line, for 3 years, just because you think they're really good at what they do. You check in and you probably ask them things about what's going on outside of work. And it should be the same with anyone that's engaged in helping your business grow.
Oh my God, absolutely.
That's why we wouldn't fully outsource the installation part of it. And that's why we want this technician rather than engineer or technical lead, as they're going to be known as, because you want someone there that does fully have that built-in desire and passion, because you're not always going to get what you want as well from an outsourced resource. So if it does go wrong, at least there's always someone there to pick up the customer's a bit annoyed because they were
exactly,
having a fag break in a place that they shouldn't have been, and all that sort of stuff. You need someone who understands that to go and then apologise and make sure that everything is brought back to the image that you want at the end of it.
Yeah.
So completely outsourcing, I think, is dangerous, and you do need to just keep an eye on it.
Totally. And can I just go back a couple of steps and just ask a question around, she talked about the 3 guys, people that are building the database, as you called it. So you've got targets to get to the 5 million. A couple of weeks ago, I had Kennedy on the podcast, who's talking about solely about email marketing. We've talked before just about shiny new things. Your marketing strategy, your strategy to grow the customer base, to do the, is it what did you call it?
100 over 50.
100 over 50, sorry. To do the 150. Is that your primary marketing strategy? It's connecting with people, making friends. And
it's a key part. I mean, actually, we've got 3 or 4 different channels. I don't think you should ever just prop yourself up on one. Email marketing is definitely one of them, and that's been very successful. I mean, got to keep going with it. You've got to do a lot of hard work to make it work, like writing the content, testing the content, So we've done all that. Luckily, we've all been around the block enough to hopefully know how to write some half-decent copy, and we know enough people to check it for us. Plus, we've got AI, which we invest in and use regularly in the business to help us simplify things. John's the master of that. He's educated us on some of the magic, but if we're ever stuck, we refer to him. We have marketing in the business that in-house. We did try and outsource. We did try and employ someone else. Never quite worked the way that we wanted it. Finally, we've landed on someone that can do it brilliantly. They're actually in Thailand as we speak, but their content is still going out because they've built it all in such a way that it's pre-scheduled, ready to go, and they've agreed that they'll be back before the summer's out. But they've agreed, while I'm away, I'll take my computer with me. If you need anything doing, like a last-minute blog or content piece, I can do it for you. So they're kind of like 0 hours contract, getting rewards as they go now, but they will be back full-time in the business. The biggest channel, though, and this is, this is Mark's doing and something I'm much more involved in, partners. So a lot of our customers comes from repeat business, but I'm great at putting the royal we in when it's nothing to do with me. Mark's developed a network of partners, channel partners, IT, infrastructure businesses, telecoms businesses, even some cabling companies, who are construction companies, property development businesses, people that might be fitting out this office, and then you go, hold it a sec, my phone doesn't work. So we know the agents, we know the contacts within those companies who can refer us in, and we all know a referral's much more likely to close than anything that you're getting cold. Yeah. So, and that's a key thing that you're developing and working on still.
We did, when Adam first joined the business, after about, 6 months, we were like, where does all our business come from? We all do it. You sort of go back to, right, let's look at the numbers. And it was about 60-40, I think. And that was 60% referral or partner led versus 40% all the other marketing that we do.
Wow.
So it's a bit. So now we're obviously putting a lot of focus into developing those relationships. And like Adam's right, he's saying it's me, but Adam's a massive part of that now. Like the partner relationships is a big part of what we do as a business. Yeah. It's now.
Well, we put on. We said, didn't we? What would the best in the world do for these people? So we put on an event in Mayfair in London. Yeah. We took them to a really nice serviced offices, like high end 5-star serviced offices. Actually, they had one of our mobile signal installations there. We had 5-star service all day. We were around a board table, introducing people to the manufacturer, talking about lots of different things beyond just mobile signal. And then, of course, being me and Mark, with John's endorsement, we took them to the pub afterwards. We had a few pints of fizzy stuff on a nice warm day in early summer, bit of tapas, and we were, we built the relationships. And that's a key part. But we wouldn't just want to rely on that. We want the incremental growth to complement it. We need to find. We're open to other ideas and other channels.
One of the things we did outsource to was Google Ads.
Yes.
Like, as in, we thought Google Ads would be the key to us growing the business, because it's niche. We thought, we'll just stick some ads out, have a nice landing page for it to all land on, and we'll get loads of business from it. We were spending about $2,000 a month on Google Ads and not getting any business from it. Whereas now we've flipped it and we put a lot of time and effort into the email marketing that we do, and we've built what we call the partner program now.
I love that. I feel like the thread throughout this whole episode has been about making bold moves, because you've both done that, but also now in this season of this business that you're building and growing for Exit is just like the simplicity.
Yes.
Like with the team, the team that you've built, with the numbers, with the strategy that you've got of the 5 million, with the marketing, I feel like is there we're coming to the end of our time together, unfortunately. I know we could carry on for all day, but in terms of focusing on the fun stuff, I feel like you've covered so many topics that people will be thinking about. Is this still for me? This is too complicated. It's good years, bad years. Knowing all what you know now and where you're at, what would you say is focusing on the fun stuff for you in business?
Well, I'll go first. It's keeping it simple. It's keeping it simple. It's having the right people around you, and it's making sure you got the right balance. One of the only questions I asked Mark was, because we'd always said, known Mark for a long time, we'd always said we'll work together on something at some point. I didn't think it would come around quite as it did or when it did, but one of the first things I said was, I need some balance. Yeah, I've worked so long for myself. I need to know that if I need to pop to the shop at 3:00 on a Tuesday, I don't need to ask anyone's permission. He said, you can do what you like. And I was like, I'm in. So it's balance, it's the right people around you, and it's keeping it simple.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. I think the key for me is having the right people around you. And part of that, and Adam listens to my ridiculous jokes. Sometimes I ring him, leave him voicemails, which is just me singing.
I can share some of them.
Yeah, like the Monday song. I'll just sing him a Monday song down the phone. But all of that is just because it's just good to have a bit of fun whilst you're working.
Yes.
And you can only do that with the right people as well.
Yeah.
If you don't get on with people, you're not going to have fun with them.
Yeah, you don't want to get to the end of the journey, do you, and go, God, that was a slog constantly.
Exactly.
Adam and Mark, you've been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on today's episode.
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah.
It's been really enjoyable.
Really enjoyed it, yeah.
And I should just finish with, if anybody is listening and needs a signal booster, where should they go to?
Yeah, well, they should head to signalsolutions.co.uk. There's actually an option on there to request a desktop survey. What that means is give us your details, tell us where you are. We'll tell you what system we'd recommend and what the potential cost might be.
Yeah.
Signalsolutions.co.uk, info@signalsolutions.co.uk.
I can't promise you'll be flooded with inquiries, but you never know.
You never know.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been really enjoyable.
Cheers, Em.